Robertson, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Can you just give our viewers a sense what you've been busy with today? I mean, we've been talking to our reporters in different parts of KZN, and we are seeing some efforts still searching for missing people.
Good afternoon. You're right. And after a hectic couple of days, things have settled down. I think they were glad to see blue skies for a while, but it's raining again. And today, just been busy with mop-up operations, so assisting some of the police operations with their, searching for the missing persons. We have had vessels out at sea. There's a lot of debris at sea now, obviously, that has come down all the rivers. And so they are out there as well, helping, to search along the coastline for any missing persons.
Yeah. Now, in terms of that search for missing persons, I mean, we've also seen mud and in places and rocks being moved and huge objects, and in some areas, mini hills collapsing and holes opening in the ground. It cannot be easy, Dr. Robertson, to really do this search and rescue operation. What are the difficulties?
No, very difficult. I mean, it's not something that we are directly involved in. I mean, we're more involved in the acute rescue phases, particularly related to swift water rescue and water-related rescue. But you're right. I mean, these are very difficult operations because the environment itself is unsafe. And so for those rescuers to work safely in those areas is dangerous. Despite the rain having stopped, the ground is saturated. A lot of the ground is unstable. And so you're never sure whether that ground is going to shift and any of that mud's going to slide down onto rescuers. So they have to operate with that in mind and make sure that, when they go into a particular area, it is safe to operate. They will, obviously use manual operations, but obviously use heavy plant equipment as necessary to clear the debris from large sites.
The wet weather that's being forecast from now, and apparently it's also raining now, it started to rain today and tomorrow. Do you anticipate it will hamper the rescue efforts?
It should be lighter rain. It shouldn't be as heavy as that sort of cyclonic, that heavy rain, that 300 mils, in a very short period of time. So except that the ground is already saturated. So any additional water is going to aggravate the situation. There could be further mudslides, and that's something that people should be aware of, and obviously stay away from areas where they think is unstable, because it would remain unstable as long as there's rain. It's not going to dry out until that rain stops.
Yeah, your crews will remain in KwaZulu-Natal, I guess, for the foreseeable near future?
Correct. I mean, they spread out along the coast, so they'll, they've obviously got their normal work to do as well. So whatever other rescues are going on in the ocean, they're involved in those at the same time. I mean, we have had 2 children, unfortunately, ripped out in a rip current and disappeared. So those kind of operations continue as normal, apart from this exceptional event.
Yeah. So do you have any sense of how much more in terms of hope for people to keep with them in finding the missing persons alive? I mean, the visuals we're seeing, there's still a lot of waterlogged places for kilometers and kilometers, and now the softer rain, as you said, not as hectic as earlier this week during the tropical storm. We are going to be seeing more wet weather, and do you think the people who are missing might be found alive? Or we should brace ourselves for bigger death toll numbers?
You'll find that particularly the rescue organizations and the volunteer organizations never give up. It's part of their code. They will continue to search as long as they can in the hope that people will be alive. And certainly, people may not be in the water. They may be in trees or have, escaped onto riverbanks and might be hiding, or not hiding, but sheltering in bushy areas, and might only be found later. So they'll continue to search, until they think that it's unlikely that people would have survived.
Yeah, and you might be needing heavy equipment to dig up some of those areas. We were talking to my colleague, reporter Spamandla Gok, a short while ago, just near Durban, where a family is still looking for a little girl, and their house was completely smashed by the mud and the ravaging water.
Correct. I mean, I think we mustn't lose the the massive human element in this tragedy. 350, 400 lives, whatever the number is at the end of the day, it's a terrible tragedy. We lose, 1,500 people every year from drowning. So, in one event this year, this is 25% or more of that number. So it really is a terrible human tragedy. And the socioeconomic issues that come with that loss of life are massive. So I think we, must pay them the respects of, time to deal with this terrible personal loss. Obviously with the support of all the emergency services and the community to get them through these terrible times.
Yeah, finally, Dr. Robertson, before I let you go, are you able to tell us how many people are in your crews? How many NSRI crew members are on the ground along the KZN coast as we speak and trying to help inland as well? Because in another crossing with one of my colleagues, we understood some of the divers who are there are helping come from Gauteng.
So our stations generally consist of up to 50 people, and obviously they'll work in shifts along the coast. So I've got coast stations from Port Edward all the way up to St. Lucia. And so those people will assist in shifts as they can along the coast.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cleeve Robertson from the National Sea Rescue Institute.